I just know this information is going to completely change the way that you experience the month of Tammuz. Welcome to my living room. We're going to learn some Torah tonight. You are welcome to get a cup of tea or a glass of water and join me for some really beautiful learning on the Hebrew month of Tammuz. I'm Elisheva, and I am a mentor for women who want to use the wisdom of the Hebrew calendar and Kabbalah to enhance their life, their spiritual life, and well-being. So let's dive in, because this is something that you're going to need to help you navigate this month. And press save, because you're going to want to rewatch this video when things get tough throughout the month of Tammuz. So share this video with a friend who will also enjoy this type of Torah learning. And with that, let's dive in. To understand the Hebrew month of Tammuz, you need to understand how the Hebrew calendar works. If you want, you can download my free guide to the Hebrew calendar by clicking the link below in the description. And you can even follow along with me the whole phases and the cycles of the Hebrew calendar, because within that guide, it gives you all information of the Hebrew months according to Kabbalah. So the design of the Hebrew calendar is far more than marking the days and a way of counting the months. It's actually a tool that provides you with an opportunity to refine certain parts of yourself. So when you study the Hebrew calendar this way, you begin to realize that every month actually builds on itself. And every single month has a special opportunity that connects to a certain part of your soul, your personality, your character, and it helps you and it guides you to become a better version of yourself and to be more connected to Hashem and your environment. Now, what is very interesting is that our soul has a purpose here. According to Kabbalah, we have a very specific purpose, or purposes, right? There's not just one, and things can change, and develop and evolve, right? But the Hebrew calendar, what it does is that it takes your soul on a journey, and you're going through these 12 months and your soul has a specific journey that it goes through. And when you're following and really embracing the Hebrew calendar, you understand that your soul is going on a journey. And the Hebrew months, the Hebrew calendar, the year is actually a divine design for your soul's growth. So you're constantly refining yourself. You're constantly returning to yourself and to Hashem. And when you can learn the specific energy of the month, you begin to understand Hashem's creation on a very deep level. And then you begin to understand how you are a part of it. So Hashem created the Hebrew calendar in a very precise way for our soul's ultimate growth. What that means is that our soul goes on a journey, and every single month has within it a very specific spiritual opportunity and a way to refine ourselves, our character. And the more that you begin to understand how the Hebrew calendar works, it becomes a tool for your soul's purpose here. Because at the end of the day, Kabbalah teaches that we are not meant to stay the same, and we actually need to put in a lot of effort to change. So the Hebrew calendar reveals to us the map, the blueprint of actually how to bring change in our lives and how to become a better version of ourselves and how we can ultimately connect to Hashem. So every month in the Hebrew calendar has a very specific opportunity that we can connect with. And when you know that opportunity, then you become more aware of what the energy of creation is. And that's pretty exciting if you ask me. So let's dive into understanding the Hebrew month of Tammuz. The Hebrew month has a few elements that make and create the specific energy of the month. So every single month has within it specific letters, planets, a sense, a body part, a tribe that connect to the Hebrew month. And it is because of these elements, Hashem is able to interact with our world and create a certain energy. And because we know what these elements are, we can understand how to use this month and navigate it in such a way that we're able to grow from it and navigate it so that we're not completely overwhelmed by it and just going through a routine of life. So this video will give you a deeper insight into the Hebrew month of Tammuz so that you actually understand the essence of it and can gain from this month. This video is focused on the Hebrew month of Tammuz and the sense of the month. The sense of the month is sight, and if you actually want to see all the elements that connect to Tammuz, then definitely download my guide to the Hebrew calendar, and you can even follow along with me when I teach about the Hebrew months. So we are learning about the site. The reason why I decided to speak about the site of Tammuz is because I think this is one thing that's going to completely change the way that you experience this month. You first need to understand where Tammuz is placed within the Hebrew calendar because it is all connected. Tammuz marks the beginning of the summer months. We officially ended spring. Spring was all about the awakening, the rebirth. It was more of a softer energy. We had 3 incredible months. We had Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, we had Pesach, we had counting the Omer, and then we also had Shavuot. So the type of energy of spring was actually a lot of renewal. It was a lot of type of this energy that was like, okay, let me reset. But now when we enter the summer months, which consists of Tammuz, Av, and Elul. Tammuz and Av and Tevet, which is in the winter months, are considered the hardest months in the Hebrew calendar. And that is because the Shekhinah, the divine energy, is concealed during these months. There are specific tragedies that happen during these months that it turned the energy into something that is more difficult and it's harder and we're faced with more challenges. Tammuz, Av, and Tevet correspond to Esav, the twin brother of Yaakov. And Esav was known to be more animalistic, to be more reactive, and to really be connected to his animalistic side, whereas Yaakov was more about balance and Torah. So we already see that Tammuz has this specific energy of Esav. And what's very interesting, Esav was very red in the face, and when summer begins, the heat increases and we too become red in the face. So when you understand the shift from spring to summer, there's this sort of shift that's happening externally, but also internally as well. The heat within us begins to rise. Now, what is interesting is that immediately after Elul is the Hebrew month of Tishrei, and this is the month of all the high holidays like Rosh Hashana, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. Now, what is very interesting is that the month of Tammuz awakens within us the specific things that we need to work on. When we ask Hashem, reveal to us, show me what is my purpose, show me what I need to work on, Hashem says, okay, I'm going to give you a certain event, a person that comes into your life, a situation that actually tests where you are internally, with your emotions, with your emunah, with your faith, with your bitachon, and here you are being tested. Tammuz is actually preparing us, and this is the biggest chidush. This is the biggest thing that you need to know. If you get anything out of this video, it is this, that Tammuz is preparing you for the high holidays. It is preparing you for Rosh Hashana and for what it is that you want to work on. When you begin to see the Hebrew calendar as a whole, as a soul journey, then you see that the Hebrew month is all about that inner growth, to making changes from within, where no one really saw your growth. It was much more of a slower energy. The days were super short. The nights were long. We're all sleeping. We're all kind of just like within our hibernation. But the moment that the summer hits, the days become longer. The evenings start much later, so melatonin only kicks in later. So what is happening here is that we are faced with being overwhelmed, tired, frustrated, and needing to navigate a lot of emotional intensity that builds up and surfaces. But this is actually a really powerful opportunity for us because we do want to change. We do want to prove that we're not the same person that we were. So Hashem is saying, I'm going to give you an opportunity to solidify all that change that you want to make. And this is where it matters the most, when it's hard, not when it's comfortable, not when things are working out for you, but it's within the setback, the really frustrating moment with your kids or with your wife, your spouse, whatever it is. It's specifically in that moment where you get to decide how you are responding. It's either you're going to be in the energy of Esav, where you are going to react, or you're going to be more intentional, like Yaakov, when you're faced with a certain challenge. Now, it's not about being perfect. It's not about perfecting your behavior. It's all about refining it, which means you just want to do a little bit better than yesterday. And even if you do just a little bit, 10% better, 3%, whatever it is from the day before, then you're already evolving and improving and turning into and becoming this version of yourself that you know is possible. So if there's this habit or this behavior that you really want to work on, Tammuz is saying, let me reveal your strength, because it's not when it's easy that you get to reveal your strength, but specifically dafka when it's hard that you get to reveal your strength, when you get to reveal how much you have changed. And an example that I love to give is that when I began my spiritual journey of being more connected to Hashem and Torah and actually practicing the Torah that I've been learning, I remember I went to go visit my family. And it's always so triggering when you're at home with your family. They trigger you the most, which is, it's by design. And I was having a really hard time there. And all that work that I did disappeared. And my sister, she came to me and she said, all that work that you've been doing matters the most with your family, because your family triggers you the most. And that's when it hit me that if you really want to change the world, change who you are, then it is how you behave with your family that you really begin to see that change. Because there's this type of dynamic that when we see our family, we see them all the time, they always fully accept us. So we feel like we could be a little bit more lenient with them. But the truth is, that's precisely the people that need are healed and worked on selves, and the person that we want to become the most. So it's specifically with them. So that's just a little insight, because sometimes, and what's very interesting is that in Tishrei, we tend to be around our families the most. So Tammuz is really preparing us for the high holidays, for the incredible month of Tishrei. So it is through all these emotional, intense moments that you have an opportunity to actually choose different. And and as you heard, it's not going to be easy. And there will be moments where, you might fail and you might have a setback, but Tammuz and Av are here to stay. So you will always have another chance to try again. So maybe this is why the Hebrew calendar opens up the summer months with a sense of sight. Maybe because when life becomes difficult, the greatest challenge is often not what happens to you, but the greatest challenge is how you see what happens to you, the perspective that you have, and, sometimes not doing something different about it. So this is the spiritual work of seeing. When you begin to see the overwhelming moments, the frustrations, the annoyances, the grievances with a specific lens, they provide a window into ourselves that you can connect with and learn from to overcome these parts and to overcome this experience in your life. So in Tammuz, Hashem is encouraging you to notice how you view your life and how you interpret the struggles and the events that happen to you and the story that you tell yourself, because it is difficult and it is a struggle. But there is an opportunity to transform how you view what happens to you as a way for something that happens for you, and how you are choosing to use this to elevate and change your life, because it's not the end. Even if you take little steps and make a little effort, you will be surprised how far you can actually get. The sense of sight is so important because the way that you perceive an event can completely change the trajectory of your life. The hardest day can turn into the beginning of the greatest blessing. How many times have you had something really difficult and hard happen to you that in the end it turned into something pretty good, and actually it turned into a blessing? How many times that has happened to you? I can name so many, so many, that I was just like, wow, I cannot believe I was even upset about that. Hashem is constantly guiding our paths. And the more that we can accept that, the more that we're able to bounce forward and say, okay, this is not working out. There's no siyata deshmaya. Let me go back to the drawing board. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in starting over multiple times, because we're still figuring out. The more that you are moving forward, that's when the path actually reveals itself. That's when Hashem is saying, okay, let me continue to send the guidance. So the more that we're able to notice that, the more that we can notice the doorway that Hashem is trying to give us here. So even if we can't understand something in the moment, it may be leading us to exactly where we need to go. And Tammuz reinforces the teaching that perception matters. Tammuz is learning to see with the soul. And the Zohar actually talks about this, and it's called Ta Chazi, come and see. One evening when I was learning the Zohar with my dad, the phrase Ta Chazi was introduced, and I was immediately enchanted by this phrase, Ta Chazi, come and see. It just was like, whoa, this is really pulling me in. And it made me so curious. Now, before there's this specific teaching in the Kabbalah, the Zohar says, Ta Chazi, come and see, because it's not that you're coming to understand with your intellect, it's that you're coming to understand with your soul. The intellect, the mind, is finite and it's limited, but the soul is connected to the infinite, it's connected to Hashem. So we come and learn with the soul. And this spiritual teaching of Ta Chazi really invites us to see beyond the physical reality, as opposed to the Talmud, which is Ta Shma, come and listen. And when we come and listen, okay, we're coming to try to understand it. But Ta Chazi, the eyes, that's what they say, the picture reveals 1,000 words, right? When we have a difficult event in our lives, we kind of see it as completely surface level. When my mom passed away, it was the biggest and most painful heartbreak that I've ever experienced. But when I slow down and actually understand and look with my soul, I understand that her soul is continuing a journey. And I know deep down that I'm going to meet with her again. So I'm looking with the sight of the soul, Ta Chazi, that my mom's passing is actually not the end, but it's actually the real beginning of her life. So we are using Ta Chazi to see more than our physical reality for the Hebrew month of Tammuz. And it is seeing beyond what the minds can understand. And it's actually giving us an opportunity to see the essence of what is going on. And this is the true way to understand Tammuz. So according to Kabbalah, the visible world that you experience through your senses is only part of reality. And there is so much concealed light that we yearn to see. And if you're able to connect to that spiritual light that is concealed, and again, Tammuz, the Shekhinah, this light, the feminine energy of abundance, of protection, is concealed during Tammuz. The more that you understand that, you say, okay, now my work here is to reveal the concealed. And when you can pay close attention to this, you can reveal tremendous light in your life and actually navigate this month as an incredible opportunity to refine those specific parts of yourself and bring in tremendous blessing into your life just by how you navigate your behavior and reactivity. Because at the end of the day, we do want to do better. We do want to evolve and become a a better version of ourselves. I want to be a better mom to my kids. I don't want to freak out when she's yelling and she's having a meltdown and I step on a toy and my foot hurts from it. I don't want to fall into that anymore. I don't want to be like going to such a low level, because I know that is only going to cause me harm and my daughter harm at the end of the day. And I don't want that for myself. And in that moment, there's this instant relief of being reactive like that. But long term, I know that's actually only going to cause me more harm, because I know that I can do so much better. So sometimes what appears to be an obstacle is actually an invitation. What feels like a setback can actually be a redirection. So in Tammuz, this is when the work of strengthening of how you view your life and those tiny moments of frustrations begin to really matter. This is when the work matters, when it's really difficult and hard. This is when you become strong, and this is when you become to refine yourself and to become a better parent, a better partner, because we're all having tough days, we're all struggling with something. But now that you have this information, you get to actually guide this month and use it to your benefit. Imagine that people are struggling around you and they don't even know why, but you are able to ease their struggle and their pain and sweeten. Kabbalah calls this memetek dinim. You're able to sweeten the environment just by being understanding towards yourself and being more compassionate to the space that you're in, because these challenges are leading you to receive so much shefa and bracha, because you are learning to expand your capacity for difficulty. Life only gets more difficult in the sense of when you step outside of your comfort zone and things are truly uncomfortable, there's this sense of difficulty, this level of difficulty that you can experience. And when you're walking the path, you have to learn quick to handle difficulty in such a way that it doesn't bring you down and you stay there. That you actually, it's okay to fail, right? It's okay to mess up. It's okay to have setbacks. But a tzaddik is someone who rises. You fall down 7 and you rise 8. And that's why there's this concept in the Zohar and Etz Chaim where it talks about Yosher and Igulim. Yosher is like you're on this ladder and you're moving up, but then you fall 2. You move up 5 and then you fall 3. You move up 7 and you fall 1. But you're constantly in this flow of moving up, even if you have fallen, because it's natural to fall. And when you fall, you actually have that strength to catapult forward. So you can really gain the strength and insight even when you fall. Just because you fell, it doesn't mean, again, that it is the end, but it could be the catalyst of how you start. Now, a few questions I'm asking myself this Tammuz and really sitting with it, because again, I do want to be a better parent. I do want to be a better wife, a friend, a better daughter, and in a way to constantly evolve. It's not because I think anything is wrong with me, but I genuinely know that I can improve ways that I respond to chaotic moments, right? So a few questions that I'm asking myself with the sense of tachazi, of seeing with the soul, to come and see deeper within this experience, is what is this current experience trying to teach me? What is it trying to reveal to me? Where is it trying to direct me to? How is it directing me to change, to overcome a habit or belief, so I can be closer to who I want to become, to be closer to Hashem? And we have 2 eyes, which gives us 2 choices, either to see things with ayin hara, with a negative light, with a limited understanding, with a not full picture and only seeing very surface level of what you're experiencing, or you can see with ayin hatova, in a good light, with possibility, with curiosity, and maybe even emunah, right? So we have these two choices of how we can experience Tammuz. A lot of people know that when Tammuz enters, it's like, this this deep sense of like, I resent this month. A lot of people that I talk to about Tammuz, they are just so afraid of it. But what if I challenge you to take that fear and turn it into curiosity? And I want you to be so aware of when things are beginning to heat up, because when things heat up, you need to react in the opposite way. React in the opposite energy of the chaos. And that puts you in a leadership role. This is where you begin to shine and say, I've prepared for this moment. And even more so, you're becoming prepared to the high holidays, to Rosh Hashana. And it's not about, again, it's really not about, and like this is like my closing note, it's not about being perfect. It's not about passing every single test with flying colors, because we're human. And I need you to throw that idea of perfectionism out the window, because it's natural to mess up. But if you're able to do better than that last time, then you're on the right path. You're on the right way of using Tammuz as a tool to refine yourself and actually becoming a greater version of yourself, connecting to Hashem too. So I hope Tammuz becomes a month that you're looking forward to, of seeing how much you've grown and how much effort you're putting in. Hopefully, you'll be able to see your growth when you experience situations that at one time would have been really hard for you, but now it's not that it's not hard, but you're able to handle it in such a way of, okay, this is difficult, but I know that I can do the hard thing and not react in my old way. So Tammuz is an incredible month that we can really invite this type of opportunity to refine ourselves. And do this for yourself. Don't be the same person. Don't don't stay the same and have the same habits and beliefs that are keeping you small and the same. Challenge yourself. Challenge your beliefs, challenge your behaviors and your reactivity. Wow, I shared so much about Tammuz. It was just so great to have this class and finish it without either the camera dying or overheating or someone walking into the house, and just being really able to do it. And I really felt that test, I really felt that test of still doing this and being in a good mood, because I know for myself that these things would completely completely devastate me, because the camera right now, when I was recording this class, it overheated on me a few times. Like, that's crazy. And I've used this camera before and it has never done that. And it's just like, wow, Hashem, I know you really want to give me so much blessings, and you're testing me how badly I want them and if I have the capacity for them. So thank you. Yes, I want these blessings. So, and I know it might be small for someone, but for me, this is huge that it didn't ruin my mood. And I actually stuck through with this little project of recording for Tammuz. So it happens in real time. Torah learning happens in real time. And when you learn it, you can't unlearn it. You can't unsee it. Sometimes we forget, right? But then Hashem kind of sends us nudges and says like, hey, remember you learned with Elisheva's Tammuz class that this month has a little bit more of emotional vulnerability. So here's your little test to see how you're going to respond. So again, save this video so that you can be reminded that that emotional vulnerability is actually how you're going to completely change the trajectory of your life and how you respond to it. So with that, Chodesh Tov, have an incredible month. Like, really let this month be fun for you. And write it down. Really get to know yourself. Write down where you are working on yourself, for what reason, and let this be your prep list for Rosh Hashana. So anyways, thank you for joining my shiur on Tammuz. If you have any questions, put them in the descriptions, or you can email me, send me a message on one of the social media platforms, because I think that this is such great, incredible work, and I absolutely love it. Anyways, tried to like finish this video for so long, but I just can't seem to do it because I love it. But I do know that it's time to go to sleep. And I know I have a lot of editing to do. So the journey has only begun. I finished this part. I finished this little tachana, this station of the journey of recording my YouTube video. So I know what is a little bit ahead of me. And I'm excited. I'm excited. And thank you for being here on the journey with me. And I'll see you in the next video.